ladies and gentlemen. My name is Amowie Izoduwa. As always, as a cultural enthusiast and an historical activist of the Benin people, I always try to lend my one penny contribution to trending topics, basically. So I just want to quickly say a couple of few things about this young Benin guy that is doing exceptionally very well, because I see a lot of trends are already ongoing. I just feel that I just quickly have to put my voice to lend my voice rather to some of these trendy topics. This young boy is doing incredible well. Crown, Zama, Elias, Shallipopi, very funny. First, we should learn the culture of supporting ourselves. Yes, Benin man should support his fellow Benin brother. It's a common bond, and that is why some of us who have learned that a couple of years ago, we cannot harm our fellow Benin person, not to think about taking the life of my own fellow Benin brother, just like they're currently having cultism issues, that the Benin man will be contracted by a foreigner to kill his own fellow Benin man. That in the old was abomination of the highest accord. As Edo na zesagyon redo, bononedo azeseye yebere, azeseye tedore. It was an abomination for a Benin man to kill a fellow Benin man. But you see, these people no longer understand Iminaya Buedo, so they flout it, and it continues to become a ripple effect that is always continuous. The series of the cycles of bloodshedding is because maybe a few years ago or some years ago, Benin man shed the blood of another Benin man, and that is why that cycle continues to go on until we find solution to this. It will continue to be a stain on the shoulder of every Benin man that holds this land dear. It is a taboo. It is an abomination for a Benin man to shed the blood of another fellow Benin man. All as a result of court group each and every one of them belong. We have to have a rethink. It is completely disastrous. It is self-terminating. We are reducing our numbers by our own selves. That's the height of foolishness in the accord of servitude to court group. You are first an Edo man before any court fraternity. You were born as an Edo man. You had your first allegiance is to your fellow Edo blood, and not to your confraternity group. It takes a very educated person and a very wise person to understand the rules of life. I don't want to speak much on that. Let me speak much on this Shallipopi guy. Right? Though I'm very much aware of the family that we came from. No matter what I feel, I've been one of the biggest advocates of the 21st century in calling the bluff of some of these Ogiame bandwagons. But first, there's one fact. The Ogiamens are pure Benin people. If they refer to themselves as Idu children or Igodomigodo children, it's the same thing as being a Benin person. They are pure breeds. Just like many of us are pure breeds of the Benin. For the fact that one's father or parental line have a different view of the royal house of of Benin Kingdom. It doesn't make them less of a Benin. I just want to first of all clear that impression, because I always stand for the truth. Although a lot of people tend to misinterpret what I represent. I represent loyalty to the land, loyalty to the throne, and the loyalty to the people. And that is guided by the principle of honesty, integrity, and truth. That is what I've always believed in. So, the Ogiamen family are purely Benin people from all perspective of history. From all perspective of history. I might be a young lad, like presumably I am, but not too young though. But I know so much history of this land. Better than a whole lot of people of this land. So I'm not talking from a shallow-minded perspective. I'm talking from a deep-rooted perspective that these people are pure Benin breds. I'll give an example. And okay, for me to give an example, let me establish one fact. Evian. I know there have been a slang, a lot of people wanting to know Evian. Evian in his era was the most patriotic Edo man of his era. In the era of Evian, we had a national crisis, a national problem, a national difficulty, a national catastrophe that was almost going to eradicate or eliminate the existentiality of the Edo people. It took the bravery, the ruggedness, the doggedness of a personage called Evian to be able to scare away a live beast, what some epic European movies would call dragon. It took the heroism of a man called Evian Nuriebe, or Nuriebe rather, to be able, with his gallantry, was able to scare away Osogan, the mystical Osogan. And we now had a place we call Edo today. And Evian is the patriarch of the Ogiamen. It's just like when you say you're saying that our Obaseki betrayed Benin in 1897. Automatically, you want to use the sins of our Obaseki to rob Ogbede Oyo, who was his father. Evian was the father of the Ogiamen Irebo, who was eventually nicknamed Ogiamen. Evian was one of the best in his era, the most distinguished Edoma of his era. So we should give him the accolade. If any of his descendants of today give them their accolades, then we should be happy. As a matter of fact, Evian should be celebrated by every Edo man and woman out there. I stand for the truth, and that is the truth. I'm going to read from a book so that people can understand why some of us just do not talk. We talk basically because of how much we've read and how much we understand our history. So first and foremost, if some misguided, not even the entire Ogiamen family, have a rivalry, but the truth is that there are no, without historical rivalry or some set of persons who believe that a way of life is not supposed to be that way of life, some people who just do not believe in the royal house, it's part and parcel of the existence of history. We should be happy. You see the Olugbo of Ugbo saying that he is the overall head of the Yoruba race and not the Oni of Ife. You see it in different climes and history. It is part and parcel of the culture and the existence of the people. There are bound to just be some people who disapprove of an existing institution. And it doesn't make them less of the Benin people or Yoruba people or whatever people. It makes it even more interesting to discuss historically about this event. And I think that's what the Ogiamen people represent. There's never a time that the Ogiamen ever eventually are going to usurp the relevance of the royal house. It's never going to happen because it's just a very few secular, which are misguided people that have a particular way of thinking. And for me, it is good they should think the way they think, but they shouldn't use it to cause a social menace, or they will be shut up or cut down, or historically, I think we've even passed that, basically. So everybody should believe in whatever they believe, the social menace or however they perceive things to be. It is within the convenience of their right. All right. Let me quickly read from the work of Chief Sam Igbe, the present Iyase of Benin, a book titled Uzama and the Benin Monarchy. I want to quickly read an excerpt. They said the Treaty of Ekiopawa, which followed, was largely dictated by Obaewedo, with Iyase of Benin and the Uzama in attendance. In status, the Ogiame was made a member of the Uzama Nibie. That's not where I'm going. A subordinate group of chiefs to the Uzama, with his name, Ogiame, made the hereditary title Jerry. With all the traditional acquaintances of the Uzama Nibie chieftain, recognized with the authority of the Oba, to hold sway on his behalf in the villages of Iboyanya and Uhumundun. He was to return with immediate effect the states too, which they had removed from Ogiso Wodo's palace when they began the arrogation of the leadership of the Godomigido powers to themselves. Then, recognition with respect to both the villages referred to above was a tribute to Eda Evian Nu Uriebe, who was remembered then and always for frightening away the then man-eating monster. What he has said put is that Obaewedo haven't defeated the anti-royalist Ogiame, handed over two very important quarters of villages of Muhundun and Iboyanya to them, not because of the Ogiame of that era, but because of the heroism of their patriarchs, Evian. So that means the Obas of the old understood the relevance and heroisms of the Evian, and Iyase, who has been one of the fighter of this century of Benin history, also clearly understand the relevance of Evian to Benin history, as at then, as at now. And we should be proud of the personage Evian. And if one of his descendants is now reviving the history, I as a person am doing all that I can to revive the history of my father, for the world to know how great my father was. And if someone is now to remember how great Evian is or was at that time, and remember his own direct father of grandfather of Zama and his immediate family of Ogiame, it is not a slight. We should be proud of him. After all, there are other musicians who were ex-convicts in other tribes in Nigeria that are very popular today, who was into drugs and all of that. If he was a Yahoo boy, I don't know. I don't have the apparatus to verify that, but it doesn't change the fact that it's a young Benin guy who is doing well. So Crown Uzama alias Shallipopi. Well done. We are doing so. We are all Benin and we support you. And even if I'm not into that kind of a song, or time I must play it. It is even in remembrance of the great heroism of the Oba of Benin that song of Baklutu was all about. And if he recognizes his immediate family, he recognizes the family and he recognizes the authority of Oba of Benin on all the Benin people. So I thank all of you. I thank Shallipopi. We should support him. Obi Maino, Timaino. So why I was saying, let the legacy of Evian never be forgotten. And let the legacies of all the Obas of Benin never be forgotten. Oba and Top Bed, he said, I remain a Amowie Izoduwa, an historical activist.